Work comes morning prayers. This is a group of specialist rabbis who have been trained in the techniques of shichta, the controversial practice of kosher slaughter.
It's not a nice job. It's not the kind of job that's clean and neat and tidy like an office. So it's definitely not an attractive job that the kind somebody would, from my own understanding, would try and go for. So why did I become a shochet? Well, I became a shochet because my father was a shochet. He always said to me, it's a trade worthwhile learning, because when you travel from one country to another, as very often happened with Jewish history, you don't have kosher food. So if you go from one place to another and you can pick up a chicken and you know what to do with it, you already have your next source of food. So he wanted me to learn for that reason. He was a shochet. I used to watch him as a child, so I knew what it entailed. I saw what the job was. At the same time that I grew up always having pets, always having animals, and it concerns me every single time I go and slaughter. This is a live animal here, and I'm slaughtering. I'm taking its life away. So there has to be some way that I can rationalize for myself. It has to have a higher reason or a higher purpose why I'm doing this.
Jews and Muslims have been criticized for their method of ritual slaughter, but kosher slaughtermen see it very differently.
One of the reasons, among the many reasons why we do shchita the way we do and all the job we do the way we do it, is because we care so much about life and about animal life, and you can't just kill animals for the sake of killing them. What they will do is they will show each other their knives before they begin a day's work. Reason for that being is that they want to make sure that not only in their personal opinion but in their colleagues' opinion, their knives are fit for the day's work. Pretty important from the point of view that if a person checks his own equipment, you may be inclined to be a bit biased. So that's one of the things we try and do, to check each other's knives before we... everything's got to go ahead, everyone's happy with the equipment, and they start the slaughtering. After that, approximately 20 minutes later, you will have the bodkim, the searchers. They search the lungs. There's two parts to this job. There's the internal inspection of the lungs, where you'll see that one boydek put his hand inside the cavity of the animal, the chest cavity. He'll do an internal inspection of the lungs. When he passes it being kosher, there's different levels of why he'll pass it as kosher. You have like your one lung that's 100%, then you'll have one that's in the 90s, and then you'll have your standard kosher one. Oh no, that's taunted.
Knife's got to be checked for even the slightest imperfection in the blade. And the best way to check it is to run the fingernail across it. And if any slightest change is felt, any slight movement in the nail is felt, then he's got to put it back onto the stone and sharpen it again.
It does actually, and it really does protect your hand.
The blade has to be 100% smooth. And besides the smoothness, can you see that?
Wow.
It has to be razor sharp. If it's not razor sharp, then you're not doing what's required. Apparently, if you keep them in the freezer, the electrical activity slows down to a standstill. Talk. Hello. How long does it take me to become a shochet or an average individual? I would say on average, 3 years after he started, he will be acceptable. By acceptable, I mean to say by then he's learned, he knows what to do, he knows how to get the blade to where it needs to be. Ask me, is he experienced? I will tell you no. He's not nearly, he's nowhere near there. When he's been doing this very same job for another 2 or 3 years, he's beginning to get experienced. kosher animals have to be in a status that we, to the best of our knowledge, presume it will live healthy for the next year. So kosher has to be a healthy animal being slaughtered. There is no doubt whatsoever it is an extremely humane process. First of all, the blade is very, very sharp. Therefore the cut is very, very quick. The cut itself probably takes 1 second, if that, sometimes less, sometimes ever so slightly more, maybe 2 seconds, and it's all over by then. Therefore, the moment the animal's throat is slit, the blood pressure in the brain drops very, very quickly, immediately in fact. The animal has no sensation of pain. It doesn't look nice, and we have to accept it as reality. An animal is losing its life in order that human beings can eat. We're not allowed to eat blood. Blood being the blood which is the blood of the life of the animal. And for that reason also, when it gets slaughtered, the arteries need to be severed, and then the whole kosher process afterwards to remove blood is because we're not allowed to eat the blood.
The meat comes into here, and as you can see, it's opened up so we can get the main veins out that are in the legs and all the way into the brisket. That's the process that we call porging. It usually takes all day to do, and I have quite a bit of help. Most of the stuff is done by the Brazilians here, but I have to check all the work that they've done. And then after that it goes into the kosher room the following day to have the salting done on it, and that finishes the kosher process. Light's gone off again. See? Look at the conditions. Look at the conditions. I feel like a coal miner in here.
Do you not need any light to see what you're doing?
Well, I've been doing it for so long I can do it blindfolded, but that light's coming on now, so hopefully there should be some light. But we take up to the 10th rib.
That's the rest of it, you don't take that?
We don't take that at all.
So, that bit up there?
This bit is, I mean, we could take it, but there's very few people who know how to take out the veins in that. I'm not trained for that. I've only got from here downwards.
It's salted for 1 hour, but stays in the water for half an hour, and then gets washed off 3 times in 3 separate tanks to wash off all the salt. That's a spray shower. It's a physical property of salt that it draws out salt. It draws out blood. Put salt on a wound, you'll find it does the same thing.
The Jewish obsession with the minutiae of kosher laws has a fundamental reason. Because behind all the strict Jewish laws of kosher is the belief that you are what you eat.
Huh? You're cooking? No sprinkles.
Barbecue. He's making a barbecue.
If a person eats non-kosher food, it reduces his spirituality. And if he sticks to kosher food, he leaves his spirituality intact. In fact, it grows because of the discipline behind having only the kosher product. We believe that this whole packet of laws, as far as eating is concerned, elevates the soul to a higher spiritual level.
Tonight at 8 here on Sky 3.